Happy Wednesday and welcome to NMH at 1, which shares the news-making headlines within and beyond the borders of Namibia at the top of the lunch hour. Economic news, local stories, international headlines and sports updates all lined up in this broadcast read to you by Ashwin Berry. Headlining today's show: 20 Namibian leaders to participate in the Mandela Washington Fellowship. Small business still vulnerable due to COVID-19. 9 villagers killed by soldiers in Cameroon. Stick around for these stories and more. In today's midday news update, Economic Freedom Fighters leader Julius Malema says the Namibia Economic Freedom Fighters will open a criminal case against President Hage Geingob in connection with the perceived cover-up of an alleged theft of $4 million at South African President Cyril Ramaphosa's farm. Malema says that the president of Namibia conspired with Ramaphosa to kidnap Namibians and assisted Ramaphosa in concealing his money laundering crime. He made these statements at a press conference yesterday. Geingob has denied knowledge of the issue and said he was not in any way involved. We return with visual news after this short break.
Careers Bistro focuses on the movers and shakers in the corporate world. It takes the content of the Careers Hub that is inserted every Friday in the 3 NMH dailies, Republikane, Namibian Sun, and Algemeine Zeitung, to viewers on social media. This show is broadcasted on NTV, 1up2.com, and cross-shared on the following Facebook platforms: Careers Hub, the Republikane, Algemeine Zeitung, Namibian Sun, and Namibia Media Holdings. Careers Bistro focuses on car interviews, career motivational videos, the ups and downs of different careers, keeping in touch with business and more. For career-related content or advertising queries, please contact zone@synergy.com.na.
Getting into today's visual news clips, a group of 20 Namibian leaders departed for the United States to participate in the Mandela Washington Fellowship. Jessica Long, chargée d'affaires of the U.S. Embassy, bids them farewell.
On Tuesday, a group of 20 young Namibian leaders departs for the United States to participate in the Mandela Washington Fellowship program. The Mandela Washington Fellowship, launched in 2014, is the flagship program of President Barack Obama's Young African Leaders Initiative that empowers young leaders through academic coursework, leadership training, and networking. Since 2014, nearly 5,100 young leaders from every country in sub-Saharan Africa have participated in the fellowship, including 117 from Namibia. These young leaders, aged between the 25 and 35, have proven accomplishments in promoting innovative and positive change in their organizations, institutions, and communities. Jessica Long of the United States Embassy talks to the fellows.
All of you should be enormously proud of your accomplishments already. And to the members of the media who are here with us today, first of all, thank you for coming. We always appreciate it when media covers really positive stories like this. But this diverse group of young leaders that you all see here, they were selected out of more than 250 very highly qualified candidates from across Namibia. They all have proven accomplishments already in promoting innovation and positive change in their organizations, institutions, and communities. So again, congratulations to you all. Among the fellows that we have here this afternoon, we have a gospel singer, a radio presenter, a park warden, lawyers, public health professionals, educators, and entrepreneurs. Collectively, they work to prevent money laundering, poaching, and human trafficking. They work to drive innovation in Namibia's agriculture and energy sectors. And they promote arts and culture. and they empower young women and girls to achieve their full potential. These inspiring young people share a common dream, a dream of contributing to Namibia's continued development, alleviating poverty, and creating new opportunities for their country. These are dreams that the American people share, and dreams the U.S. government is proud to support. Tomorrow, these fellows will embark for the United States on what will be a life-changing experience, not only for them as individuals, but also for their communities and for their country, for Namibia at large.
Walvish Bay carver Evelino Siyave, who is a Walvish Bay-based wood carver, says that business has been picking up slowly post-COVID. He spoke to Nikano Nangolo.
Since Corona time, our business is very low. And from there now we are just trying, and so we need some help from the government. So as us a caver, we need something else which can help us to do like a machine which is able to us using with the caving. So for now, nowhere we can go, we are just trying, and these things where we get our food, where we get also things to help our kids in the school. No, before we usually make product every day, but now it's also difficult to get the wood because the wood we get from here in the north. From here 500 kilo. So you have to get the wood. When you bring it here, you mess to cave. So now it's for us difficult. Maybe 3 months or 2 months, so you can get some wood so that you can do. After the pandemic, but by now it's just somehow, I cannot say business is speaking well, but somehow.
And how do you, what exactly, apart from the wood, how do you, your creative process, how does it work? Your process?
Our process is going because as a Corona come, they teach also us to do everything now. Before we just sometime let me just cave maybe a giraffe, let me cave just elephant, but by now we can do everything. So only the things which is making us complicated only because we don't have a machine. I started 2016 carving, but on the business I started a long time, but to carving I started 2016.
And most of the stuff here that we're seeing today is your stuff?
Mostly I'm doing myself.
And the ones that you don't do yourself, where do you get them from?
So by now I do everything which is you see here, unless only stone, because this one I don't make it. But from the wood I will make it myself. Even this next which you see here, this I collecting just from this is a seashell. I just trying to do this also to create the custom. And as you see here, I do in Makalani also is myself. Some of them are here, it's not yet well finished. I'm also doing myself, and I also try to do these earrings. Also doing these earrings. As I say, we need the government also to strengthen us. Because like us, it's like a child, if he's starting working, you have to hold on the head so that they can also be easy to walk. So what we need on the government to do also is when you see someone who trying to doing himself, so you must also help people.
Newspapers are a good source for news and current affairs, and right on the other side of this, we'll be looking at some of the stories inside Namibia's daily newspapers. Thank you for staying with NMH at 1. We now take a look at what the lead stories are in Namibia's daily newspapers. According to the Namibian Sun, the Namibian Peugeot Opel assembly plant situated in Walvis Bay, in which government owns a 49% stake to French automaker Groupe PSA's 51%, is currently idle over its inability to export vehicles out of the country. This comes on the back of growing pressure by the Congress of South African Trade Unions to have the plant relocated to South Africa to ensure job security in that country. The plant has been plagued by its inability to export assembled vehicles to South Africa, the region's biggest market. Reacting to the developments, Deputy Executive Director in the Ministry of Industrialization, Michael Humavindu, said government is working tirelessly to resolve export issues plaguing the plant. On its page 3, Namibian Sun reports that the Justice Ministry has started with amendments to laws concerning cybercrimes and online gender-based violence. This according to Minister Yvonne Dausab, who was speaking during the launch of the OGBV report in Windhoek yesterday. The Internet Society's Namibian chapter collaborated on the report in partnership with Meta and various other stakeholders. During her keynote address, Dausab said online violence is real violence and should be considered a serious offense. Moving over to the Republican front page, whilst members of the Beef Value Chain Forum on 7 June 2022 were optimistic that it would succeed in its goal to establish a new export beef abattoir, 147 cattle producers have already invested 66 million Namibian dollars in this venture, whilst the forum's latest membership number stood at 415. At the same time, Ceres Capital is offering a second national road show this week from Grootfontein and Oshwarongo to Osho, Windhoek, and as far as Summerdown. This happens about 2.5 weeks before the closing date of 24 June for investments by cattle producers in the Savannah Beef Processors Abattoir. On page 3, the paper reports that the South African president's missing millions have helped boost the economy of a northern Namibian town. This was a hive of economic activity in there was a hive of economic activity in Otapi from March 2020 when a group of men descended on the dusty town in cars bearing South African number plates. They traveled by road to Namibia days after they allegedly looted around 60 million Namibian dollars from South African President Cyril Ramaphosa's Palapala game farm in the Limpopo province. One of the arrivals was then 40-year-old Erki Shikongo, who was born at Oname village. Shikongo did not waste time. One of his first purchases was a guest house he bought for 800,000 Namibian dollars from an Otapi businessman. Today, the Allgemeine Zeitung leads with an update about the phosphate mining project known as Sandpiper Project. According to the paper, the Confederation of Namibian Fish Associations raised serious objections to what appears to be a subjective conclusion as stated in the Marine Spatial Plan of the project. In a recent MSP, the controversial phosphate mining project was deemed to have been received positively. CNFA Chairman Mati Amukwa said that despite repeated warnings and objections from fisheries associations against experimental phosphate mining, the objections were not addressed in the MSP outcome. On its page 2, the Allgemeine Zeitung reports the fact that Namibian President Dr. Hage Geingob was this morning due to officially open Namibia's first expo that focuses on the fourth industrial revolution. The expo already started yesterday and aims at finding ways to link ever faster developing technologies and digital communication with industrial production and economic growth in Namibia. In July 2021, the head of state appointed the 4IR working group chaired by Professor Alicia Peters of the University of Namibia, which recently published an interim report that, amongst other, recommended a more intensive utilization of digital information and learning material as well as methods in Namibian schools. More news after this short break.
My.NA Property Show provides viewers with the best in-class content, engaging interviews, as well as a showcase of the latest property-related products and services. If you would like to feature your brand or your campaign on this platform, contact My.NA at synergy.com.na. My.NA Properties, more than just a roof over your head.
Thank you. Thank you for staying with NMH at 1. Continuing with news from the local dailies, the Namibian reports that South Africa's opposition leader Julius Malema is gunning for both South African President Cyril Ramaphosa and Namibian head of state Hage Geingob as the fallout from the so-called Farmgate saga continues. The economic freedom fighters leader, during a press conference yesterday, accused Ramaphosa of unleashing his personal thugs to track down suspects in Namibia after the robbery on his farm with the aid of the Namibian president. A Windhoek resident admitted in the High Court yesterday that he abducted and raped a 5-year-old girl in the city nearly 3 years ago. According to the Namibian, he admitted this at the beginning of the trial on charges in connection with the events of 1 August 2019 after he had taken the girl from a daycare center without the permission of her parents and then sexually assaulted her. The New Era reports that National Council member Paulus Mbangu has opposed the government's offer to lease green schemes and one dairy venture to investors, arguing that local people can successfully run the government's multi-million-dollar projects. On its page 3, New Era reports that the US government yesterday donated 6.9 million condoms and 2.6 million lubricants valued at 4.3 million Namibian dollars to the Ministry of Health to address the reported shortage of contraceptives in the country. The Mining Composite Index recorded a reduction of 10.7% in April 2022 compared to a growth of 22.3% registered in March 2022, according to Economics Focus Market Watch. Now the United States economy is heading towards a recession. How will this impact the Namibian economy? We'll delve into this and more economic stories after the break.
Sunset News is a daily news show focusing on national headlines as well as international news. If you'd like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, please contact sunset@synergy.com.na. Sunset News. Don't end your day without us.
In today's economic news, the international news agency Reuters says the US economy unexpectedly contracted in the first quarter of this year. However, domestic demand remained strong as consumer spending showed positive sentiments. A wider trade deficit mostly drove the decline in real GDP as imports surged and a slowdown in the pace of inventory accumulation prevailed. Time series data from the US Census Bureau from 2007 to 2022 reveals that almost every time the US economy recorded a slowdown or contraction in its overall economic activities, its demand for goods imports from Namibia increased compared to goods exports. Namibia was the US's 132nd largest goods export market in 2019. The US real GDP growth in 2019 was 2.3%. Its goods exports to Namibia in 2019 were valued at $194 million, representing a 3.9% decrease from 2009. The US goods imports from Namibia were valued at $144 million in 2019, down 56% in 2009. A trade surplus in favor of the US was recorded in 2019. Some good news for the SPAR Group, which reported a 5% increase in group sales to 67.6 billion rand, with operating profits increasing by 7% to 1.8 billion rand in the 6 months to end March. Its diluted headline earnings per share increased by almost 4% to 641.1 cents, and the retail group declared an interim dividend of 175 cents per share. SPAR's share price rose almost 2% in the opening trade on Wednesday. SPAR's tops made a strong recovery following the lifting of alcohol trading restrictions in September, with growth of almost 42% in sales compared to the same period in the previous year. Wholesale grocery and liquor turnover increased by 8.5% for the period. Trading was still impacted by the closure of stores since the unrest in July last year. At the end of the period, 13 SPAR and 9 top stores remained closed. However, 26 new stores were opened across the group in that period. Let's have a look at the latest economic indicators. The Namibian dollar has increased in value against all these major currencies while dropping against the yuan. No major changes are observed on the NSX according to available data. All these stock prices remain unchanged, with Trustco Group holding stocks trading for 99 cents. Brent crude oil prices are up by 2.21%, while these other commodities have dwindled with the exception of gold. Cameroon soldiers killed 9 villagers, government admits. Stick around for the full story after the break.
In Business 7, you get news on current economic, financial, and business matters in Namibia. The weekly show features interviews with experts and in-depth analysis of burning issues in a way that caters for ordinary Namibians and business connoisseurs alike. We crunch the numbers that matter, decipher statistics that shape Namibian lives, discuss smart money, and explore the impact of global development locally. Money makes the world go round, so catch us on NTV, oneup2.com, and the Facebook platforms of the Namibian Sun, Republikane, Algemeine Zeitung, and Namibia Media Holdings. For news-related or advertising queries, please contact B7 at synergy.com.na.
You are still watching NMH at 1. We now take a look at the latest news in our neighboring countries. We will later extend to the rest of the globe. A group of soldiers have killed 9 villagers, including an 18-month-old girl, in a manifestly disproportionate and hasty response to a confrontation in northwest Cameroon, the government has said. The 4 soldiers were searching for a missing comrade in the village of Misong when they came across a group of angry villagers at night, the Defense Ministry said in a statement on Tuesday. The victims were 4 men, 4 women, and an infant, it said. A 1-year-old child was lightly injured and taken to hospital. The statement was an unusual admission of blame by the army, which civilians and rights groups have accused of numerous killings and abuses during an ongoing separatist conflict. Cameroon's northwest region is one of 2 English-speaking regions where secessionist fighters protesting perceived marginalization by the French-speaking majority have been battling government troops since 2016. Schooling and the internet have been regularly disrupted in the Anglophone areas, as has everyday life. In all, nearly 1 million people have been displaced into neighboring Nigeria. The conflict has also killed more than 3,000 people. The ministry said the 4 soldiers have been arrested and an investigation opened. It offered its condolences to the families of the victims. The South African government said on Tuesday it was taken aback by René's decision to force UK-bound travellers holding countries' passport to take a test in Afrikaans language to prove nationality, calling the move a backwards profiling system. The Irish low-cost airline had from last week started forcing UK-bound travellers with a South African passport to take a test in Afrikaans, a language spoken by just 12% of the country's population and often associated with the apartheid and white minority rule. Europe's largest airline by passenger numbers, which does not operate flights to and from South Africa, had cited that it was doing this to curb high prevalence of fake South African passports. The Department of Home Affairs in South Africa said the local government had measures that it regularly shares with airlines to curb any instances of fake documents. All airlines have access to the advanced passenger processing system, which enables them to screen travelers before they depart, and the government also runs a 24-hour service which airlines can use if they want to authenticate South African passports, it said. The West African Regional Bloc, ECOWAS, said on Tuesday that it regretted a decision by Mali's interim government to extend the transition back to civilian rule by 24 months while negotiations between the 2 sides were ongoing. Mali's ruling junta, which first came into power in August 2020 in a coup, issued a decree on Monday fixing the 24th month timetable to be counted from March 2022. The 15-member Economic Community of West African States has been pushing for a shorter extension of at most 16 months. ECOWAS imposed stiff sanctions in January after the junta said it would not organize democratic elections the following month as initially planned. Heads of state from ECOWAS member countries met over the weekend in Ghana, where they agreed not to lift sanctions against Mali unless the junta proposed a shorter transition. They are expected to hold another summit before July 3. The United Kingdom will soon supply long-range missiles to Ukraine. The full story coming up after the break as we move over to international news. You are still with NMH at 1, and these are your international news stories. Britain will supply Ukraine with long-range missile systems that can strike targets up to 80 kilometers away, Defense Secretary Ben Wallace has announced. The shipment is going to consist of several US-made M270 launchers. The UK stopped short of revealing the number of units it is planning to provide. However, the BBC claimed on Monday that it will be 3 initially. The Defense Secretary added that as Moscow's tactics change, so must our support to Ukraine. According to the UK government, Ukrainian soldiers will be trained in the use of the M270 in Britain in the coming weeks. Announcing the delivery, Wallace emphasized that the UK was in the lead when it came to providing Ukrainian armed forces with vital weapons. London's decision to supply the weapons comes less than a week after Washington said it would send 4 M142 high-mobility artillery rocket systems to Ukraine, which is a lighter cousin of the M270. A North Carolina county has agreed to settle a lawsuit and pay $3 million to the family of Andrew Brown Jr., a black man who was shot and killed by deputies as he drove away from his home in 2021, the local sheriff said in a statement. Brown, 42, died fleeing a morning raid on 21 April 2021 in Elizabeth City, North Carolina, a riverfront community where just over half of the roughly 18,000 residents are black. The killing captured national attention, fueling a debate over the way police use force against black Americans. The killing came a day after the conviction of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin in the murder of George Floyd in July 2021. Brown's family filed a federal civil rights lawsuit against the Pasquotank County Sheriff Tommy Wooten and the deputies, initially seeking $30 million in damages. Wooten said in a statement, "I understand that there are no words I can say that will alleviate your pain. I do offer my most sincere sympathies and compassion to you as you continue to grieve the loss of Andrew Brown Jr." Lawyers for the family said in the same statement that the money will go to Brown's children. After this short break, we head into your sports news update. Stay with us.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, welcome to another exciting edition.
Heading into your local sports news updates, the African Senior Athletics Championships will start today in Mauritius. Namibia is represented by 15 athletes. The group of 15 athletes, along with their coaches, this week left for Mauritius, where they will represent the country at the 22nd edition of the African Senior Athletics Championships in Port Louis from 8 to 12 June. This year's event will be held on the brand new track at the Côte d'Or National Sports Complex in Mauritius, considered one of the best technical stadiums in Africa, which has a capacity of 15,000 spectators. Former Brave Warriors midfielder and co-founder and director of Hopsaw Football League, Colin Benjamin, has denied claims that he is poaching players from other clubs playing in the same league. Former African Stars captain and Tigers player Pat Nevin Oanivi said he is saddened to see prospective national senior football team players roaming the streets due to a lack of active football. Right after the break, we will highlight news from the international sports scene.
AgriMonitor is jou weeklikse landboukundige program wat jou die jongste nuus in die landbouverwante bedryf en onderwerpe wat daaraan gekoppel is, bring. Vir enige advertensie of nuusverwante navrae, kontak agrimonitor@synergy.com.na.
We now take a look at the international sports scene. Senegal joins Namibia and Botswana in the bid to host the 2027 Africa Cup of Nations. This follows their official submission to host the 2027 Africa Cup of Nations. England captain Harry Kane scored his 50th international goal on Tuesday by converting a late penalty in Munich to seal a 1-1 Nations League draw with Germany. When calls have been made since South African rugby's return from isolation for the Springboks to become more attack-minded, they have often been met with a dead-bat response that local players are just not used to playing that way. That excuse is no longer valid. NMH at 1 returns with the highlights from this afternoon's broadcast.
Sunset News is a daily news show focusing on national headlines as well as international news. If you'd like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, please contact sunset@synergy.com.na. Sunset News. Don't end your day without us.
You are watching NMH at 1, and if you have just joined us, here are some of your news highlights. A group of soldiers have killed 9 villagers, including an 18-month-old girl, in a manifestly disproportionate and hasty response to a confrontation in northwest Cameroon, the government has said. Britain will supply Ukraine with long-range missile systems that can strike targets up to 80 kilometers away, Defense Secretary Ben Wallace has announced. The African Senior Athletics Championships will start today in Mauritius. Namibia is represented by 15 athletes. The international news agency Reuters says the U.S. economy unexpectedly contracted in the first quarter of this year. However, domestic demand remained strong as consumer spending showed positive sentiments. Those have been your highlights. Thank you for staying with NMH at 1 and spending your lunch hour with me, Ashwin Berry. Remember to tune in every weekday at 1 p.m. as we take you through the latest happenings in Namibia and beyond. Stay with us for a compilation of news from across Namibia in our regional review segment.
Good day, viewers, and welcome back to Regional Review. My name is Monique Adams, and today we're celebrating World Oceans Day. It's a day where we bring awareness and the importance of protecting our oceans and the animals that live in it. Well, let's get right into today's show. First up in our news segment, the past weekend, the governor had its annual Governor's Cup. So let's take a look at a few highlights. As an effort to select the Claras regional soccer and netball teams to defend the annual Namibian Newspaper Cup, hosted again after 2 years of not happening due to the COVID-19 impact. The Office of the Claras Regional Governor hosted an annual Governor's Cup involving teams from the 7 constituencies to identify players in the respective soccer and netball last weekend. Alita Fredericks, the governor, said, "It is based on this that we would like to congratulate the Keetmanshoop Urban from the netball side and Keetmanshoop Rural from the soccer side, who were the champions of the annual Governor's Cup for the year 2022.
Africa Good Morning is a current affairs program that brings you the latest from Southern Africa and beyond. News, economics, sport, weather, interviews, and so much more. For any advertising or news-related queries, contact AGM at synergy.com.na. Africa Good Morning, bringing Africa to you.
AgriMonitor is jou weeklikse landboukundige program wat jou die jongste nuus in die landbouverwante bedryf en onderwerpe wat daaraan gekoppel is, bring. Vir enige advertensie of nuusverwante navraag, kontak agrimonitor@synergy.com.na.
Well, that looked like so much fun. Next up, we took a trip to Danioberg in Marienthal and got to meet the school editorial team, and this is how they introduced themselves. The learners and teachers from Danioberg hosted a lunch where they get to prepare for their next school newspaper project that will be coming out this August. So do make sure that you keep an eye out for The Zone to read the stories that Danioberg writes about the school and their community.
Hi, my name is Lanea Mulu. I'm in grade 7A and I'm a learner of Danioberg Combined School.
Hi, my name is Ntomi Mujona. I'm in grade 8 and I'm from Danioberg Combined School.
My name is Vesterina Ashupala and I'm in grade 9B. I am a learner of Danioberg Combined School.
Okay. My naam is Benisha Pule. Ek is 'n graad 9 leerling by Danioberg Gecombineerde Skool.
My name is Anata Shikonga. I'm in grade 8. I am a learner from Danioberg Combined School.
Okay. My naam is Leandra Elu. Ek is 'n graad 9 leerling by Danioberg Gecombineerde Skool.
The Evening Review is a daily interview-based talk show that dissects and expounds on current affairs as they occur in Namibia. The show aims at reaching Namibians of all age groups who seek better understanding of the state of current affairs in the country. This show is broadcasted on NTV, 1up2.com, and cross-shared on the following Facebook platforms: Namibian Sun and Namibia Media Holdings. The Evening Review focuses on interviews, latest news, and up-to-the-minute current events. Contact Evening at synergy.com.na. Evening Review, unpacking today's pertinent issues.
Well, that has brought us to the end of our news segment. Now we head over to our interview where we got to speak to Theresia Klute, who is a counselor from Kogas. And this is what she had to say.
Wil ek toch vra, ons het hier voor ons, maar kom ek praat nou van ons, dis moes nou ons. Daar was 'n informal settlement uitgelê. Mense het daar erf gekry en mense daar uitgetrek soontoe. Baie van daardie mense, die meeste van die mense daar, as dit nie nog almal is nie, is werklose mense. Hierdie mense, daar is nie water op, daar is nie water en krag nie. Daar is nie toiletgeriewe nie. Dis die belangrikste ding. Toilet is die belangrikste ding. As jy nou kyk na die waardigheid van 'n mens. Dis nie 'n luxury nie. Daar is nie water nie, daar is nie toiletgeriewe nie, daar is nie krag nie, maar die informal settlement is besig om te groei. As ons geld gegee kan word, as ons die geld vir die capital projects vir ons ge-increase kan word, sodat ons die dienste vir die mense kan bring. En dan ook, ons het nie regtig waar vermaklikheid wat ons vir die mense kan gee in hierdie Kogas nie. Die jeugdiges. Soos ek al reeds gesê, dit wat ons doen is maar net 'n ou dribbeltjie wat ons kan doen, want finansies laat ons nie doen nie. Dis baie moeilik op 'n village. En veral op 'n village soos hierdie, waar die werkloosheidssyfer so hoog is, waar ons nie regtig waar inkomste het nie. Ons moet baie noukeurig te werk gaan met ons geld. So kan ons nie by ons jeugdiges uitkom op die gevraagde manier nie. As die minister vir ons, as hulle self kom na Kogas en met ons kom sit en kom engage met ons en self gaan na die in Kogas rondbeweeg en kyk nou hoeveel grond ons het, wat ons kan baie doen, ons het groot grond. Ons kan baie doen, maar ons het nie geld nie. So as hulle vir ons die een keer ordentlik kan help met geld, dan kan ons once and forever 'n ordentlike ding doen. Waar ons jeugdiges kan uplift, hulle se leefstandaard kan aanhelp en ophelp.
The Agenda is a weekly national affairs interview program hosted every Sunday by Namibian Sun editor Toyvon Jabela, featuring a panel of high-profile newsmakers, analysts, and experts. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact agenda@synergy.com.na. The Agenda, focused on today's conversation.
Rehoboth is a sunny and pleasant 25 degrees during the day for this week, although it will cool quite a bit during the night over the weekend. Mariental is sunny and pleasant, although mostly cloudy conditions are expected by Friday, that will clear again by Saturday. Mild 24-degree days are expected for Keetmanshoop, with partly cloudy conditions forecast for Thursday, Friday and Saturday. Sunny and comfortable conditions are expected at Karasburg, with some clouds picking up as from Friday.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, welcome to another exciting edition.
Sadly, that has brought us to the end of today's show. I hope you found it insightful and informative. But for now, it's a goodbye. See you again next week, Wednesday, same time, same place.